Hi everyone, welcome back to Plum Mashable. So for today's video we're going to be using the Planner's Anonymous Hygge Life digital kit to make a self-care dashboard. So let's go ahead and get into it. Okay, so what I have done is I've gone ahead and printed out some bits and pieces from the Hygge, which I think is how you say it, Hygge Life kit from, this is the digital kit from Planner's Anonymous. I actually think my tickets are going to be too big. I think I've done these the wrong size because I've done like a test version of this and I've shrunk it just a little bit. I think my tickets might be too big, but we'll sort that out in a minute. So I've got 2 bits of the pattern paper. I've got one of the jars and I've got a vellum version of the jar. And what I'm going to do is I want to make myself like a little self-care jar dashboard. It'll make sense when we get to it. So what I'm going to start off with is of course an A5 bit of cardstock because then this will be the size of my dashboard. I'm just going to grab out of my planner, which you guys know I'm currently moving out of. So you can't look at this and go, oh look, it's so skinny. Yes it is, because it's basically empty at this point because it's all in the new one, which you'll see next week. But I just need something for the holes. Going to really quickly mark out where the holes are. Now this is completely up to you. You can do this at the start or at the end. I like to have it at the start, like have it pre-done, A, so I don't have to measure it out over like all the time, but B, so I can make sure that my project is centered to where the holes are. It's just a personal preference thing. So I'll just grab my little hole punch and I'm just punching these out. You don't have to be 100% perfect, but in the general right area is what you need to do. So I'll just check. I'm not showing you my other planner on purpose. We'll see it next week. Yes, that's fine. Okay. So then I'm going to grab these 2 bits of paper. Now the problem that I have, the problem that anyone will have when they print out stuff from a digital kit, is that it's never going to print end to end or like from the page to the page. So this dashboard will be just a little bit smaller unless I think of another way to do it, which I will do in a second. I'll have a look at how much smaller it is. So this is the front bit. This is the part that is going to be where the jar sits, and it just so happened that this was an absolutely perfect bit of paper for this. It doesn't necessarily have to be this. There's a bunch of other pages in the kit that you could choose to do instead. I just liked the way this sort of looked like a table, so my jar will sit on it. Okay, so I'm a little short on the top and on both, and I'm just trying to decide how I want to cover that up. If I want to make my dashboard smaller, or if I want to add like a little bit of washi tape or another kind of paper in there to kind of cover that up. I'm thinking I might just add, the plan was to not use anything other than the digital kit. This is a teeny tiny little addition, so please excuse me for it. I'm just going to add just a teensy bit of the washi tape at the top, and it's just because it'll cover that up without having to go and print anything else, and it'll just give that top a little bit of a little pop. So this is the standard washi that comes in the kit. It's just a florally kind of one. It's very pretty and it'll look really lovely on this white. It'll actually pop. And because it's a little creamy colour itself, it won't highlight that it's white, which is the part that I like. It'll bring the colour of it down just a little bit. Oh, come on. So I'm just going to cut the excess off. And then I'm going to glue the background on. So I'm just going to line up where I want it. Yeah, see that looks really pretty. It's just got just a little bit of that floral pop at the top, which is nice. Okay, so I'm just going to go ahead and stick all of this on. The only downside is just that sometimes I find that my glue tape doesn't stick as nicely to washi tape. So what I might do is I'm going to put a bunch of glue. I'm going to go right to the edges because I want this to stick on the edges. So I'll clean my mat up in a second. gone right to the edges. Just a little hint, if you ever want to get rid of glue dots, I know I've told most people this about a bazillion times, I just give it a rub and that stops it being sticky. And then when I'm finished, I'll come back with a little bit of isopropyl alcohol, just spat and it'll come off without an issue. I should have put a mat down first, I just didn't think of it. So I'm going to put this down, lining it up with the bottom because I can just cut the sides off. There we go. And then there's just this little bit at the top. So I'm just going to lean that up a little, grab some double-sided tape. That way it'll just hold that top down as well. The last thing you want is this sort of coming apart. And then we can just trim off the excess for the sides. Now I keep all of my excesses, so all my little slivers here of my digital kits, I keep these as well. So if you guys know, I store all of my Planners Anonymous kits in little pockets. So when I use digital kits and bits like that, I just keep them with the kit, with the original kit. So it all just goes in that same pocket. It just makes it really easy. Really easy. Okay. So there's the front. I am just going to really quickly punch the holes for the same reason as before. And this is why you could wait and do them sort of all at once so you didn't have to keep punching the holes over and over again. I really don't mind. For the jar, I'm going to cut the jar itself out. So I've printed this on my Canson drawing paper. It's my favourite kind of paper. It's so pretty. It just feels nice. Kind of reminds me a little bit of the Planners Anonymous paper, but not quite. So I'm just cutting this out. And I am leaving just a little white lip around it, and I'll wait and see if I like that or if I want to cut it off. And then from there, the other thing I've done is I've printed it out on vellum because I want to be able to see the little tickets inside here. So I've just printed it out on some vellum. It is the exact same size. You don't have to do this, just a piece of vellum behind here would look fine. I just wanted the look of the jar. So now I'm just cutting around the outside of this, right on the line this time, because we need this to be just a little bit smaller than the other one. And it doesn't matter if you don't do a great job of this because you're not really going to see too much of it. This is what I mean when you didn't really need to do this. It was just because I could. And because I like making my own vellum paper. It's just fun. Okay. So you've got two jars there. So you guys know what happens next. We need to actually put this onto the back. So we need to cut a window out. So to do that, I'm going to grab my craft mat and a knife. And then I'm just going to go, not off script, but I'm just going to have a look at sort of where the light's not the right word, but just where all the edges are here and just kind of cut to those. So I'm just following, whoops, hate that. Following the shape of the jar. Making sure I leave a reasonable kind of outline because I do need to put some kind of tape on here, and so you don't want it to be too thin. Otherwise you won't be able to find a tape that fits. Pop that out and you've got your little jar frame. And then when we pop that on here, get rid of that ugly mat. Sort of see what I mean. You do lose a little bit of what the jar looks like on the vellum, but it's not a whole loss, and it still is very obvious that there's little bits on there. Well, I think it's obvious. You might sort of look at it and go, maybe not. A bit of normal vellum would work fine. Okay, to stick this down, I'm going to use I never know, like using glue tape is great and it works most of the time, but it does sometimes leave a little glue, like a dotty residue on the vellum, which makes me really unhappy. I'm just trying to find a bit of scrap paper in my drawer. No, a bit of scrap paper in another drawer. So I'm just trying to decide if I want to do this with glue tape or if I want to do it, I want to stick it down with maybe some double-sided tape or some liquid glue. I think liquid glue will have the same problem. I'm just going to give this just a tinsy little bit of a haircut because it's just a little bit too wide for me. I think I will use glue tape and I'll just come across and rub off any of the dots beforehand. So that's why we get the bit of protective paper this time, so we don't have it all over my desk. Okay. So I'll stick this down. Make sure it's not going to pop out anywhere. If it does, I can just trim it off in a second. Get up. Not popping out anywhere, which is good. We do have some glue dots on this side, so I'm just rubbing them off gently with my finger. If they don't come up with your finger, you can grab an eraser and that will do the same job. Sometimes having it on white paper will help as well, because you'll be able to see where the dots or any sort of stickiness is. I think that's fine. And then from here, we're going to put on some foam tape. Now I'm going to use foam tape for this one. You could use, what's it called? Kids Fun Foam or something like that. But just for this one, I think foam tape is going to work better. This is one of my really skinny ones, and I'm hoping that it's going to be skinny enough to go around this. If it's not, I can just trim it up a little bit. So I've got... We'll start off with this bit. It doesn't have to be a solid, this isn't going to be a shaker, so it doesn't have to be 100% sealed up. It can just sort of be 90% sealed up, because the tickets are reasonably big, so they're not going to pop out of this. But it's completely up to you. So all I'm going to do here is just stick that around the outside, so it seals up as best as it possibly can. And I'm just going to try really hard, and if I need to, just sort of make this a bit thinner to be able to go up the edges. It's a very, very, very skinny bit of foam tape, but it will work. So I'm going to go ahead and do all of this. I'm going to do 2 layers. And the good thing is that this particular foam tape is very pliable. It will let me move things around. I'll do that and I'll come back and show you before we stick it onto the page. So I've got all of my tape on the inside there, and I can't see any from this side, which is my biggest bugbear, is when I can see foam tape. I hate it. Now I'm just leaving on all of the protective tape for now, because I just remembered we need to do the back of this as well, and I want to make sure I do that before I stick anything foam on. So this is just another bit of the paper. I just really liked the door kind of scene, so that's what I thought I'd use. May need to use a little bit of washi tape on this one as well, but we'll see how we go. So I'm just cutting off the white first. Whoops. And then we can work out where we're going to put this. So yeah, we're going to need to put a little bit of that washi again. So I'm going to put it at the bottom this time, just so it's a little bit different. So same washi, just at the bottom. Got a bit of glue dots there that I just want to get rid of. And And I'm just going to have a look where that's going to sit. It's about halfway. So this is on the bit of the tape that we're going to cut off. And this time, rather than trying to put it on once I've got the page on, if I know I've got it there and I stick the tape above that line, it'll all come off nicely. So do the same thing with the glue tape around the outside. I'm just going to put my bit of scrap paper down and just move it around this time so that I protect the side of my desk. Ah! No, I'm out of tape again. I have some more somewhere, I think. I'll have to find some more in a minute. This is the Kmart tape, which I have been using a little bit off screen. It's not my favourite, but for a $2, I think it's $2 or $3 or something like that, it's not bad. It's not bad at all. And it does, it's just a tape, not a dot, so it's not quite as easily removable, which is okay because we've got this bit. The only downside, which I've just realised, oh no, it's right, it'll pick it up, because I went over the holes and it didn't not work, but it came off okay. So my review of the Kmart tape, if you're gonna catch it in here, it's not bad. It's not, I'll do it in like properly with all the others, but it's not a bad tape. It'll do the job. So I'm just flipping this upside down so that I can use the top as my guide here. Just lining that up. And I'm just centering the doors as best I can. So I want them to kind of be in the middle. There we go. Just giving that a bit of a rub. And then we'll go ahead and cut off all of the excess on the back here as well. I like that. I think that looks really pretty. And that's going to stay, when I say plain, it's going to stay plain on that side. You could obviously do this around the other way and have this on the front and have this the jar on the back. Completely up to you. It's whatever you prefer. Okay, so then we're going to put the jar in. So I'm going to take off the tape. Now if you notice, there's no tape at the top here. There's no tape on at the top of the jar, and that's so you can put the tickets into the jar. That's sort of where I'm going with this. So I'm just going to remove all of the backing paper. Just one little thing, when you're stacking your foam tape, just make sure you take off the removable paper in between layers. Like that's a given. But just remember that that's a really sticky surface that you're putting it on, and once it's on, it's really hard to pull up. So try and go slowly when you're putting your second layer on, because it can be tricky. Okay, so when you're doing foam tape like this, I like to sort of stick the bottom down first. Make sure that's where I want it, because it sort of rolls up a little bit, and then you can kind of push it up to the top. Now there is no support behind that top, but it does still sit there really well. I am sort of considering a plug of some kind so that my tickets don't fall out, but I'm not there at the moment. Okay, the tickets. You would have seen I printed them on a bit of paper before. I have a feeling, oh no, they're still going to be okay. They're going to be fine. I do have some other ones printed out. I'll grab them in just a second, but I just wanted to show you how I did the holes for these. So all I did was I just cut around the outside right on the line, so I'm deliberately not leaving any white space on these. And these aren't perfectly straight, so you can kind of maneuver as you go. And then I grabbed my We Are Memory Keepers crocodile hole punch, and I moved it, I think it was on 1/8 of an inch, and then you put this in here and you can see through and you pop it. So because it's a little hole punch, it makes it easy to do this. If you don't have a smaller, whoops, I completely stuffed that up, that's right. If you don't have a smaller hole punch, you can do this with scissors or with a craft knife. It is tricky, and if you're going to do as many as I did do, so it looks like that, I will cut out one more and do it properly, but then I'll just show you the other ones I've got. If you were going to do a lot of them like I did, I can understand where it might be a bit difficult. Although, let's just try this on this one. It's actually not that bad. The corners are certainly easy. Actually, let's just do one. Because it's only going in a little bit, you really can just manipulate the paper to come round, and it's not really that hard. Is it easier with the hole punch? Absolutely. But is it difficult? No. I did cut a bunch of the tickets before this video so that I had sort of plenty to use. So I think I printed 4 of each, and I've just cut them out exactly the way that I just did. And the idea here is that I can put them in here as I spend them. So I've got my stay in bed ticket, so I've put it in there for myself. So number one, there's nothing about this as it is necessary, it's just fun. But then the same thing, if I want a day where I just get lots of snuggles, I'll go to Ryan and go, I'm having a snuggly day and I'm spending my ticket and I'm putting it in there. The good thing is they come out again, and this is where the plug thing was an idea, but they don't come easily out, they don't fly out, and sometimes you've got to get the tweezers to get them out, sorry. But I just thought that was really cool, and I really love that background. But now what I'm trying to work out, when I did this before, I had it different, and I sort of left some room at the bottom for me to actually put the ticket, so I've got somewhere to put them, and now I don't really have that. So what we might do is we might on the back, we'll do it on the back. So I'm going to grab another bit of vellum. Oh, I'm not. I'm going to use the scrap bit from before. No, I'm not, because I've got stuff in the printer. This is just another bit of vellum that I've got spare. And what I want to do is I want to cut this to be just a little bit smaller, or a little bit shorter than the tickets. So I'm cutting this, I think that's 1 inch. So it's 1.5 inches, which it's just a little short of 4. It's about 3.8 centimeters high for us Aussies. And I'm just going to cut this little strip to that. That's a broken one. And then what we're going to do is I'm going to grab this super skinny tape. Now, depending on where you want to put it and how you want to do it, I'm going to put mine at the bottom here. I just think that looks really, really cool. So I'm going to grab that tape. This is very, very, very skinny tape. I think it's 1/4 inch tape. I got it from Officeworks. I will link it for you down below. I'm just going to mark out, well, not mark out, but you know, I will mark it. I'll do it right. I'm just going to trim this so that it sits this side of the holes. Reasons you have the holes already punched. You can guide yourself when it comes to marks like that. I'm going to put some all along the bottom and all along the 2 sides. So these will be like little pockets. Why is that tape not sticky? Oh, that's why. It left the tape on the roll. Whoops. That's different. I was like, why is that not sticking? Oh, funny, funny, funny. So I'll try that again. This time it's sticky, but this time it won't tear. Okay. So let's try that again. And I'm trying to put it as close to the bottom as I can. Good thing is vellum is very forgiving when it comes to sticking things on it. There we go. Didn't start off quite so straight, but it worked it out. And I'm just going to cut off the excess on the edges because I don't need that. then once you've got that sort of pocket done, then we sort of just have a couple of the tickets in here. So you can kind of work out where they fit, and then you just make the pockets to fit. So I'm going to have, there we go. So we cut 3 more little bits of skinny tape. Don't have to be perfectly even spaces, just sort of roughly is fine. Then we just remove all of that backing paper. We can stick it down. Probably would have been easier to do this before we stuck the jar on the front, but so then you can just put your little tickets in the little pockets that we just made. So we've got stay in bed one, the snuggles, the home day, and the valid for 1 day all rugged up. You could make your own little tickets if you wanted to. You could just use the shape of the PA ones and use the background and put something else. So if you're not someone that actually finds that self-care is staying in bed or staying at home, especially with lockdowns and stuff, I get staying at home is probably the opposite of actually self-care at the moment. But if that's something that helps, or if you want to make your own, they're really easy to do with the digital kit. You really can kind of use the shape and then make your own. The paper colours are included in the digital kit, so they are really easy to sort out. And if you do want to see me try that, please let me know, and I can give that a shot. Maybe over on Instagram or something, just a little reel video or a little story or something. So there we go. That's our little self-care jar dashboard. So if you sort of get the point, that goes in your planner. Hold on. I'll get a planner. Obviously, this looks really sad. It looks really sad. You put in, you got your little dashboard. You just whatever it is for self-care. So I used to have, I still do, I have this little self-care dashboard at the front that I use with Note to Self. And it's got my 10-minute ideas, my 30-minute ideas, and my 1-hour ideas. Do the same thing, very similar sort of thing with the jar, and just make yourself little tickets. But it's a good way to track when you actually do something for yourself, because you go, okay, I'm going to have a home day today, and I'm going to spend that ticket, and it goes in the jar. And then it becomes like a little shaker there as well. So it's something fun as well as being something functional. But I actually think that's really cool. I sort of thought it was a bit silly when I did it, but I actually really like that. You see what I mean? It will shake around a little bit. It's not designed to shake, but if you put more in there, so let's put a snuggle. Whoops! I lost all my snuggles. There we go. And back in there. I actually really like the fact that I can't see the glue all that badly. We put the other one in there, and they do kind of move around in there. Not horribly, but and they are easy to get out. You just grab some tweezers and they'll pop out without too much of a problem. Easy as. So there we go. That's my little Hygge Life dashboard using the digital kit. You guys know I love the digitals. You'll see them more and more often from me. I'm going to try and do a project using the digital kits every single month. So I'll get hold of it, have a look, and see what inspires me. And this jar just jumped out at me as a something that would be really cool to kind of do something like this. And then when I saw the tickets, I'm like, right, there we go. That's what we're going to do. And I really love that background. I think that's a very pretty piece of paper that I might need to use for a couple of other things. So if you did enjoy this one, please give it a big old thumbs up, and make sure you subscribe so you don't miss future PA videos and all my other videos. You can also make sure you follow me over on Instagram and Facebook, and I do post on there reasonably often as well. I hope you guys have an absolutely awesome rest of your day and a great weekend, and I'll catch you again in my next video. Sending lots of huggles. Bye!